Hello there! Welcome to a tutorial for my plugin PunishGUI. This is something new that is being on my channel, but it doesn't really matter with where I'm posting this. To begin with, we're going to show the starting up process of the plugin and where to install it. So once you've downloaded the plugin from our spigot page, which is linked down in the description, you put it in your plugins folder, and this should work with any version of spigot. I'm not sure about bukkit. I haven't tested with bukkit, but I've tested it with paper spigot and normal spigot, so it works with those two. And I've already created the server, so I'm gonna say that you already know how to do that. So once you put the plugin inside of your plugins folder, just run your start or restart your server if you're with a host, or just start your server in general. If it's closed. If it's not, shut it down, install the plugin, and boot it up again. Now this is going to take a minute because I'm recording and I'm also running some other processes in the background, so yeah. Okay, didn't take that long. So when it first boots up, ignore that message. You'll get this here. Well, every time the plugin boots, you'll get this message. This is just some debugging messages for me to know that all the commands and stuff have been initialized, that all events have been initialized, and then we also have created the default file of inventory.yml, the settings.yml, and then the messages.yml, and then the config files have been initiated, or initialized, whatever. So these are all the default files. Those should now be in your plugins folder. This message is when there's an update available for the plugin. Besides the fact that this version is 1.0.3 and the version on Spigot is 1.0.2. This is a developmental build that I'm running right now. Well, it's not really a developmental build. It's a build that I haven't quite yet released to the public, but it'll be released to the public when this video is up. I guess we'll show you the configuration files really quick. When you start the plugin the first time, you get this file, as we just saw. Then you get the three default files. You got your messages.yml, you got your settings.yml, and your inventory.yml. Here in your messages.yml, you can edit any of the files or any of the messages that we have throughout the plugin. You can see here that we have the update available message. So there's that. You can also do the prefix, the no perms, the player doesn't exist. So these are all just some general stuffs. And this is some command stuff. You can see some spoilers of the commands and whatnot if you haven't run the command, or if you haven't run the plugin quite yet. We have the reload. We have some messages here. Then we have some conversation stuffs. Some of these messages you can edit, some of them you don't have to edit. In the settings, we have the use updater, which is by default true. We have use sounds, which is by default false. And then we have use random sound pitch, which is by default true, but it doesn't actually work if the sounds are disabled. We have executed console, which is default false. We have use configuration, or conversations even, that is default true. And then we have the cancel combo stuff. You can enter any string of characters in there, and then that will be what you use to stop the conversation in a game. Then we just have some other things here that deal with the inventory. Here you can change the name of the inventory. You can change the size of the inventory. You can fill the spare panels, and if that's set to true, then this item is used. And then we have some normal sound stuff. So when the punish is opened, it's the entity arrowhead _ player. Then when there's an update available, we have the entity evoker cast spell. Then in the inventory config, we have the items. Now this can be whatever you want, but then all of the rest of these things, the item, the where, the amount, the glow, the name, the lore, the commands, the permission, and the close on click, they all have to be there. So I'm gonna jump onto the server really fast. just not going to change my display capture. It's fine. Okay, so you can see that the message does get sent to the players or to the administrators when they log into the server. So you can click on this link and download it. So there's that. The commands that you need to be familiarized with is the PunishGUI command. And if I just do that, you can see the little help message. This is also the same as PunishGUI help. But the other one has the please add more arguments because we didn't add any arguments to the command. But if you made any changes in the configs, you can do reload. And then you can also reload a specific configuration file, such as inventory, messages, or settings. If you just put reload, it'll reload all of the configuration files, and it doesn't really matter. Reset timer, it only works if you have that enabled in the config. I don't actually remember, but if I, for example, punish this account and then I try and do it again, you can see that I'm already punishing a player. But there's a timer that goes, I think it happens every minute. So if the player isn't actually inside of the inventory, then it removes them. But to bypass this, you can just do reset timer, and then you actually have to put in the player's name. And apparently I'm not on cooldown, so I can actually do punish again. Then if I say click on any of these items, it won't work. And if I shift click this item, nothing actually happens because I was experiencing a little bug that I couldn't figure out a way to fix, so I just decided to disable shift clicking. But if I click on it normally, you can see it says please enter a reason to punish its Shatton. To cancel the punishment, enter stop. So if I entered a reason, it would ban me. But I'm just going to enter stop. And if you enter stop, just the word, then it should cancel. But if you enter something like stop doing this, it should work. I haven't tested that, but I believe that's how the conversations work in Bukkit. That's about it for the in-game stuff. And actually, that's about it for the tutorial. So there's that. Yeah. So let's go through this, and I'm gonna quickly create another example item to kind of show some things. Now, of course, it has to be named differently than the one above, because if it isn't named differently, then it's just gonna overwrite the other one. What item do we want this to be? Let's do a dried kelp block. And we're going to set this in 1. By the way, if any developers are using this plugin, you know that Java actually starts with 0, but you don't have to put 0 in for this configure or for here. I just subtract 1 from the value entered. So for example, if you put in 0, it's actually going to be -1, which is actually not what it works. So if you put 1, and there you go, then it'll be in the first slot. And then that goes from 1 to 54, or whatever your max is, really. The amount that you want for the item, the max is 64, because that's what Minecraft can display. I'm sure you can put more in it, but the max should just be 64. And then we have a Boolean value here that says, or that is basically asking if you want the item to be applied in enchantment so it can glow in the inventory like the punish, or such as this one was in the file. You can change any of the lore things here, so something, and you can do as many as you want. No, there's that. You have the commands that you can run. For example, I'm going to change this one to kick. Yeah. So, and then there's this little message here. It says if use conversations is disabled in the settings.yml, then it won't work. The reason placeholder won't work because there's no string of text to put in for that reason. Then we have the permission for the item that, so the player can't see it and they shouldn't be able to use it as well. And then we also have another Boolean value that says close on click. If that's set to true, then the inventory will close. If it's set to false, then the inventory won't close. But of course, if the player isn't online anymore, it might cause some issues. And I believe it actually does close even if you do have the conversations enabled. Okay, so then we run PunishGUI reload. You can also do RL, by the way. You can do RL, and then you can do the inventory, which is one we entered. And if you enter an invalid configuration, valid doesn't send you any messages. And this is then you reload the inventory.yml. So if I run /punish and then I run it again, you can see that we now have the kelp block here with permanent ban something and then something else, and this should be running the kick thing. So if I enter that and say that this should be a kick, and then it will kick me with these should be a kick, and go, and then I can join again. So yeah, that's my plugin. If you like it, you can download it on Spigot, and the links will be in the description. There's also going to be a GitHub page in the description as well for the plugin, because it's open source. So you can look at all of the code there if you want. You can report issues there and stuff. There's one thing that I don't want issues in, and I don't want them in the review section of the plugin, because that just like, okay, I can't help you there. I can respond once, and then that's all I can do. I respond once to your message, and then that's all I can do. Of course, I can private message you and help you there, but it's just easier if it's a bug that everybody is experiencing to report it on GitHub, and then I can look at it, and then I can always be referred to it whenever I'm actually developing, because I usually have my GitHub page open, and then I can also reference your issue when I commit things, and then you can try it out and stuff like that. But that ends it for this tutorial. So, I mean, if you liked it, leave it a like, I guess. I don't know. Also, for the people who watch my channel, this isn't really anything for somebody new or just for the Spigot page community stuff. I'm trying out a new end page thing, so tell me if you like that or not. I'm also putting in some music with it, so that should be kicking up right about now. Yeah. Alright, well, I'll see you in the next video, I suppose, whenever I get around to it. Probably the start of December, which will be a Bed Wars video. Yay!